Okay, so in this video we're going to look at rounding numbers to a certain number of decimal places or a certain number of significant figures. We're going to start off by looking at decimal places. So we're going to look at decimal places first of all. Now the reason that you would round numbers is because you have certain numbers, like for example pi. Pi is 3.141592653, and so on and so on and so on. It goes on forever. So you can't use the exact value of pi because there isn't an exact value. It goes on forever. So normally what people do is they round pi to 2 decimal places or 3 decimal places or 4. So normally we would use maybe 3.14 as an approximation for pi. So in this case we'll have rounded pi to 2 decimal places. So how does that work? Well, I'll do some examples and we'll see how it works. So if I take, for example, 5.1456, and what we want to do is we want to approximate this. We don't want to use this entire number. We want to approximate it. And what we're going to do is we're going to first of all approximate it to 1 decimal place. So normally what you would do is you would look at the number. You know you have to round it to 1 decimal place. Here's your decimal point here. So we go 1 decimal place to the right. I'll just draw a line down here like this. Okay, so we have 5.1. This is as much as we're going to write down as our answer, if you like. So 5.1456 is approximately equal to 5 point something here. Now what are we going to write here? Well, we have a 1 here. Now this 1 is going to do one of two things. It's going to stay as it is as 1, or it's going to round up to 2. They're the only two options. So which is it? Well, what determines what it does is the number on this side of the line. So this number here is a 4. So the rule is, if this number on this side of the line is a 0, 1, 2, 3 or 4, this number remains as it is. If this number on this side of the line is a 5, 6, 7, 8 or 9, this would round up to 2, 5.2. Since this is a 4, this remains as it is, so we just say 5.1456 is approximately equal to 5.1, and that is to 1 decimal place. Now, if we were then asked to round 5.1456, I'll just write it down again, 5.1456. If we were asked now to round that to 2 decimal places, so I'll just change the color here. I'm going to go to 2 decimal places now. Here's my decimal point. I'm going to go 1, 2, draw a line down here. This is as much as I'm going to write over here. So I've got 5.14. Now I've got to decide what's going to happen to this 4. So I look on this side of the line here. The next number after the 4 is a 5. So this rounds up to 5.15. The 4 changes to a 5. So I end up with 5.15, and that's to 2 decimal places. And so on. If I want to round this 5.1456, if I want to round that to 3 decimal places, what I do is I go 1, 2, 3. There's my 3 decimal places. Draw a line there. Now I'm going to write down here on this side 5.145, or I'm going to write down 5.146. So what determines that is this number here on this side of the line, the number after the 5. The number after the 5 is a 6, so that's 5, 6, 7, 8 or 9, which means I have to round this 5 up 1. So I end up here with 5.146, and that's to 3 decimal places. So we've rounded 5.1456 to 1 decimal place, 2 decimal places, and 3 decimal places. Now, I'll just take one more example, and I'll take, let's say, 0.00391. Now I'm going to round that to 3 decimal places. So here's 1 decimal place, 2 decimal place, 3 decimal places. So I'll draw a line here. So that's going to be equal to 0.00. Is it going to be 3 or 4? It either remains at 3 or you round it up 1 to 4. So you look at the number after the 3. The number after the 3 is a 9. So that's a 5, 6, 7, 8 or 9, which means that 3 rounds up to 4. So you end up with 0.04, and that's to 3 decimal places. To 4 decimal places, it would just simply be 0.00391. This is 1 decimal place, 2 decimal places, 3 decimal places, 4 decimal places. So again here I would just draw a line here. I have a 9 here. So I would either leave that 9 as a 9 or round it up 1 to 10. You look at the number after the 9. The number after the 9 on this side of the line is a 1, which is 0, 1, 2, 3 or 4. So I leave that as a 9, so that's approximately equal to 0.0039, and that's to 4 decimal places. Now, if I take the number 0.00396, for example, and I want to round this to 1, 2, 3, 4 decimal places. So first thing I do is I go 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm just going to draw a line down here. That's as far as I'm going to go. Now I look at this and I say, well, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4 decimal places. That's fine. I need to look at the number after the 9. The number after the 9 is a 6. That's a 5, 6, 7, 8 or 9. So that means I have to move that 9 or change that 9 from a 9 to a 10. So that would make this number here, that would make the 9 a 0, and the 1 from the 10 would be added to this 3. So I end up with 0.0040, and that's to 4 decimal places. And that's it from the point of view of decimal places. And now just want to have a quick look at significant figures. So let's have a look at significant figures. So we're going to look at significant figures. Now, when you're doing significant figures, you start from the left hand side of the number and you work your way across until you come across the first number, the first non-zero number. So, for example, if we take the number 0.001, 0.00985, 0.00985, and we are asked now to write this to one significant figure. So we just want to write this to one significant figure. So you start from the left hand side here. It's a 0, so that's not significant. This is a 0, not significant, not significant, and we come across a 9 here. This is our first significant figure. So this is where we're going to stop. Now, in this particular case, we do the same as what we did previously. We look at the number after the 9 on this side of the line. It's an 8, which is a 5, 6, 7, 8, or 9, which means we must round this up. So what we end up with here is 0.010. So that's to one significant figure. One significant figure. Now, if on the other hand we were now asked to take the number 0.00985 and we were asked to write this to two significant figures. So I'm going to do the same thing again. We go along here. This is 0, which is non-significant, non-significant, non-significant. This is our first significant figure here, which is a 9. So that's the first significant figure. This is the second one here. So this is where I'm going to stop. Now, what you need to do now is look at this number 8 and then look at the number on the other side of the line. The number on the other side of the line is 5. So that's a 5, 6, 7, 8, or 9, which means this 8 rounds up to 9. So we get 0.0099. This is to two significant figures. Okay, so let's just look at another example. Let's take 52.487. 52.487. And we will round this to let's say one significant figure first of all. So start on the left hand side. The first number we come across is a 5. That's a significant figure. It's a whole number. It's significant. So that's where we're going to stop. So let's just draw a line down here. And we're going to look at the number on this side of the line. So we know we're going to have a 5 or a 6. So look at the number on this side of the line. It's a 2, which is a 0, 1, 2, 3, or 4, which means that 5 does not change. We just leave the 5 as it is. Now, this is 52, which means all the other numbers just become zeros, because we only want one significant figure, remember. So really, 52.487 is just 50 to... This is rounded to one significant figure. If we want to round it to two significant figures, we would write down 52.487, and let's just draw a line down here. We have 52, 5 is a significant figure, 2 is a significant figure. These are our two significant figures. So this is where we're going to stop. Look at the number on this side of the line, which is a 4. That's a 0, 1, 2, 3, or 4, which means that 2 doesn't change. So we end up with, I'll just rub that out and go back again, approximately equal to, so we want two significant figures, so that's 52, and that's two significant figures. we'll do one more. We'll do 3 significant figures. So let's say that's 52.487. And we want 3 significant figures this time. So we go, this is the first significant figure, second significant figure, third significant figure. So I'm going to draw a line there. Now these are our 3 significant figures here. 5 is significant, 2 is significant, 4 is significant. So what's going to change or not will be this 4 here. To determine what happens to this 4, whether it stays as 4 or moves up to 5, is this number here, what's on this side of the line. So this number here is an 8, so that's a 5, 6, 7, 8 or 9, which means this 4 changes to 5. So we end up with 52, oops, I'll just get rid of that again, change the color. So we end up with 50, oops, so we end up with 52.5. This 4 changes to a 5 because of this 8 here. And that is to 3 significant figures. So that's it. There are your significant figures and decimal places.